Hi, this is Lauren from Daisy Cottage Designs, and today I'm here with a video tutorial for you on the blanket that you see in front of you. I made this blanket over the weekend, and as I was crocheting, I told my husband, I feel like I'm crocheting the sunset. The way these colors came together just reminded me of a sunset that you might see somewhere out west. The colors are definitely outside my normal comfort zone. I tend more towards blues and greens, but I am so happy with the way these shades came together in the end. If you want to make a blanket that looks exactly like mine, you're going to want to grab one skein each of the following colors. You're going to use Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn in the shades Linen, Light Peach, and Rosy Cheeks. And then you're going to need one skein of Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek in the shade Mauve. Those yarns are all available at Hobby Lobby, or you can order them online at hobbylobby.com. And most of the time you can also find them on Amazon. But I used one skein each for those colors. And I made a blanket that is 32 by 36 inches. So it's a lap blanket, a big baby blanket, but it's not huge. But in the written pattern, I've included 6 different sizes, plus instructions to make the blanket any size you want. So if you want to make a different size, you can follow the link in the description below, and you'll be able to find exactly how much yarn you need. So I am using Rosy Cheeks and a size K yarn. Now, a size K yarn, I understand, is a little bit bigger than you would usually use for worsted weight yarn, but I wanted to be sure that this blanket was not stiff. I wanted it to have good drape. So when you hear the word drape, talking about a crochet project, it means how much movement it has. And I did not want a stiff project. I wanted it to be flexible and movable and look really good draped over a couch or the arm of a chair. And so I used a K-hook. If you know you crochet loosely, you're going to want to go down to a J-hook. So a J-hook is also a size 10, and a K-hook is also a size 10.5. But if you have normal tension or you crochet tightly, you're going to want to use a K-hook. All right, so to get started, we're going to make our slip knot. And then we're going to insert our hook and pull it tight. And we're going to make our starting chain. So to make the blanket exactly like mine, you're going to want to start with a chain of 102. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to start with a chain of 12 so I can show you how to make the stitches. So we'll start with a chain of 12, but you could pause the video and make your chain of 102 if you wanted to do that. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this is my chain 12. You might have a chain of 102. Did I say 112 before? If I did, I meant 102. But you're going to work your first stitch into the third chain from the hook. So this loop that's on your hook does not count as a stitch, but here's 1, 2, and 3. Now I like to turn my work to the side and work in the back bump, but you can work into the chain however you're comfortable. So to work my first double crochet, I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to insert my hook into the third chain from the hook. And then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull up a loop. So there's 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook. I'm going to pull my hook through the first 2 loops. And now there's 2 loops remaining. I'm going to yarn over and pull my hook through the remaining 2 loops. So I just made my first double crochet, and you'll see that I have a chain 2 on the end, because remember we worked into that third chain. So this is those first 2 chains that we skipped. And now we're going to double crochet into the remaining 9 chain stitches. So we'll yarn over and insert our hook into the next chain and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. And now yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. So we just made our second double crochet. Yarn over and insert your hook into the next chain and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. And now yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. So we just finished our 3rd double crochet. Yarn over and insert your hook into the next chain and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. And now yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. Yarn over and insert your hook into the next chain and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. And now yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. So at this point, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochet stitches. And you should have 5 chains left. So yarn over and insert your hook into the next chain and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. Yarn over and insert your hook into the next chain and pull up a loop. There's 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through those first 2 loops. And now yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. You should have 3 chains left at this point. Yarn over and insert your hook into the next chain and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through those remaining 2 loops. At this point, you should be getting comfortable with the double crochet stitch, even if you've never made it before. So I'm just going to make these last 2 slowly, but not talk you through it. So here is next to the last double crochet. And now I'm going to work my final double crochet into the last chain. And at the end of row 1, you should have 10 double crochet stitches. Let me pull this over to the center. So you should have 10 double crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then 2 chains on the end. Now, sometimes when you're working double crochet stitches, the chain 2 will count as a stitch, and you'll have to work into the top of the turning chain. But I am not counting the chain 2 as a stitch, so we will not work into the top of the turning chain. We will only work into the 10 double crochet stitches. Now, if you're working the blanket pattern and you started with a chain of 102, you should end your first row with 100 double crochet stitches and a chain 2 on the end. So each row that you make should have 100 stitches. All right, so now let me show you how to turn your work. You're going to chain 2 and flip your work around. And we're not going to skip the very first stitch because our chain 2 here does not count as our first stitch. Sometimes some patterns will say that your chain 2 will count as a stitch. And if that's the case, you would not double crochet into the first stitch. You would just skip right to the second stitch and start crocheting. But I find when I do that, I end up with a gap in my work. So I like to chain 2 and then work my very first stitch here in this first stitch. So we'll work our first double crochet into the first stitch. And then we'll double crochet into each stitch across. So there's 1, 2. Now let me show you what the top of the stitch looks like. See, we have V's. The top of the stitch looks like a V. You're going to want to insert your hook under both loops of that V, which is the top of the stitch. So we're going to insert our hook under both loops of that V and make our stitch. So there's 3 double crochets, 4, 5, 6. You should have 4 stitches left, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now remember, at the end of the row, you are not going to work until you're chain 2. So you should make sure you end with 10 double crochets. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then you'll have a chain 2 at the end that you use for turning, but remember that does not count as a stitch. So you'll just count your 10 double crochet stitches. So now you would chain 2 and turn your work again. You work into these for this first stitch. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that is the end of row 3. And remember, you don't work into the turning chain at the end of the row. Okay, so now that we've learned how to make the stitch, I want to go ahead and show you how to change colors. So you might notice that my lighting could be a little bit different and the audio could sound just a little different because my camera died while I was making this video. So it's been a while and sometimes just things are going to sound a little different if you record at different times. Hopefully it won't be too distracting. All right, so we made our 10 double crochet stitches on this final row. And now what we're going to do is change color. So the first thing you want to do actually is pull out this last stitch. So we have 9 double crochets now, and we're going to start our final stitch of the row with this peach color, but we're actually going to finish it with our new color. So let's yarn over and insert the hook into the next stitch and pull up the loop. There are 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. So usually we'd yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops, but we're actually going to do that with our new color. So I've got my project here with my yarn coming down, and now I'm going to take my new color and make a loop. So you can see that I've just made a loop with my yarn, and I'm going to loop this right on the end of my hook. So I'm going to grab the loop that I made with my hook, and I'm going to pull it tight with my fingers, and I'm just going to pull that yarn right through the remaining 2 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to pull everything nice and tight. And you can see that I have a complete stitch in the light peach color, but now the yarn that I'm working with is my new color. So if you want to, you can tie a slip knot with these 2 colors just to make sure it's secure. I don't always do that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I've never had any problem with anything unraveling, whether I do or don't. But so now you're ready to chain 2 with this new yarn, and you'll just turn your work and start crocheting with the new color. So you'd work your first double crochet in the first stitch, and you just keep working along that row with the linen color. And so that's how I change colors. And sometimes this will loosen up even though you knotted it. You can just pull it back tight and continue working. And once you weave your ends, everything will be really secure. So I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, happy crocheting.